slow up. No, I don't take shit, I got no love for the fakeness. If you wanna play tough and wanna hate this, I'll always show up.
Tainted Grail, The Fall of Avalon is a first-person...
Skip. I woke on the beach next to a tattooed man. I took his pants. He was dead. He didn't need them. Then I met two stand-up guys hanging out by a statue. They were a part of a union.
We're just doing maintenance. What's it to you?
But the company was refusing to give them fair wages. So I killed their boss. And the human resources guy. The union guys were pretty stoked.
Get lost!
Then I killed some bandits. I let them keep their pants. I'm not a monster. From there I found the Fortress of the Keepers. And I was let inside by Adrin. He seemed pretty cool.
Have a pleasant rest of the day.
Then I met the Quartermaster.
I've seen my fair share of morons.
Prick. He said that the cemetery was full of undead and that he and his men were too yellow and cowardly to solve the problem, and that they needed a hero.
I've seen my fair share of morons.
I'm paraphrasing. So I beat the shit out of a homeless guy. Necromancer. Potato. And then I went back to be showered with praise and gifts from my new friends at the fortress.
I need someone to find both of them. And I'm not sending any more of my own men.
The Quartermaster, he basically told me to fuck off. Then to find some guy that they had lost. Yeah.
This is Keeper Lanzo, and he has a toothache, but the local healer isn't willing to give him his family remedy, even going so far as to confiscate the recipe, and instead insists that he have the rotten tooth extracted. Lanzo isn't too keen on the idea.
And I mean it! He's a know-it-all from Camelot, but the truth is, he doesn't know shit.
And I offer to get the remedy for him, but not for free. Inside the building behind Lanzo is the healer shop ran by John Herber. He is a man of science with a formal education, but not so keen as to not inform me of the recipe's reagents when questioned. After only a short chat, Jan surrenders the recipe, and I'm able to craft the toothache medicine at the nearby alchemy bench. Upon returning to Lanzo, he is overjoyed to have his Nan's medicine to ease his suffering, and as a reward offers another small menhir statue to increase my maximum hit points by 5. Now, while getting the toothache medicine, I noticed that I was able to ask Jan if he needed anything done. So it's back inside to see if we can offer assistance to the local healer. Herber is very intrigued by the druids and has uncovered a ritual that needs to be performed at an ancient druidic site. Jan requests that I go and complete the ritual for him, but it's imperative that I detail the encounter so that he may continue his research.
Aha, got it. So you're up for work, not out of the goodness of your heart, but as long as it gets you what you need.
The journey to the stone circle is dotted with wolves, corpse eaters, and the remains of a massive ogre. Along the way, I come across a locked trunk, and within is a book detailing the story of Sir Varn de Bovard, whom, after a night of drunken stupor, went to the local healer, also named Herber, perhaps a relative of Jan's. The healer prescribed Sir Bovard a tonic to tend to his ailment and sent him away. When Sir Bovard went to leave 2 days later, he simply began to scream maniacally and fled into the forest, never to be seen again. Investigators from the Arcane Crimes Unit questioned witnesses of the scene for months to no avail, and the prescribed medicine was never found among Bovard's belongings. Sir Bovard was never seen again. Now, I do love these little stories. The massive ogre's corpse is surrounded by corpse eaters, but they are no match for arcane fire and die easily. Floating above the corpse is an arcane scroll, Exploding Ember, similar to my Burning Ember spell, only that it may also strike enemies in a radius. Fantastic. The Druidic stone circle looks fantastic, and the area is overgrown with vines and brambles as if nature is holding many of these massive stone slabs in place. The trees are decorated with avian skulls that give the place an eerie presence, and as I approach, the rain stops. Now this may be coincidence, but it was very well timed if not, as if the land itself had noticed my presence. The inner circle of the site houses a second ring of Stonehenge, and within an offering table to an unknown master awaits. The stone table is overgrown with ivy, branches, and bones. Melted candles, some of which are still lit, adorn this once holy place.
Check it out. They did it. Somebody did it. Impossible. See, someone's here. Damned morons. Nobody could be stupid enough to actually fall for this. And yet... Hey, you there. We can't exactly see you because, we're dead, but we can sense that you're here, so...
Congratulations! You've made it to the sacred site of knowledge!
Is that what we called it? I can't believe this shit. They actually fell for it. I can't believe it.
I know, right? Traveler, the knowledge you seek, the knowledge we druids decided to share with you is that...
You can kiss our dead magical asses and get the hell back to wherever you came from. Now scram.
Well, that settles it. Druids are assholes and definitely fans of playing the long game to have a giggle in the afterlife at the expense of others. For my bravery, they award me with a mistletoe branch, which I'm assuming is worthless, but hey, 300 XP for being pranked is fine by me. I also noticed that I had some items removed from my inventory upon beginning the ritual, an onion, garlic, and venison. Good thing that I already had these items on me, and to be honest, I'm not sure how I would have figured out the required items if I hadn't already had them. Regardless, my quest tracker updates, and I suppose I should go tell Herber that he is wasting his time. But the Druidic Circle looks different. Living vines now squirm and writhe across the stones of this once sacred place of dick and fart jokes. The vines are the same ones from the tutorial, which leads me to believe that it is a part of the Wyrdness, maybe corrupting the area. I guess I'm just going to have to wait and see. I return to Herber and inform him of the Druid's sense of humor and offer him the mistletoe because I'm lonely.
Mistletoe? Really? They gave you a mistletoe? It's just a useless piece of shit. And a parasite at that.
As well as inform him of the now living vines that reside at the Druidic ritual site.
We don't do anything, because I still can't leave the keep. You need to find a druid and make him reverse this somehow. There's a man who refused to leave the sunken village, and somehow survived. It's as if the monsters don't see him, which is impossible. He must be hiding something, and since this place was sunk by the druids, well, you know where I'm going with this, right? And of course there's the tomb. I'm not sure how much of this is true, but I heard a rumor that not long after the Charred Conclave, druids started arriving at something they call the tomb of a good druid. But that damned place is far, far to the north. And I don't think I need to warn you that the road is dangerous, do I? Whatever you decide, good luck. Please let me know when it's done. Otherwise, I won't be able to focus. I just hope nobody gets seriously ill right now.
Okay, find a druid either at the Sunken Village or somewhere known as the Tomb of the Good Druid. Sunken Village is right outside the fort, so we'll start there. After selling some gear and upgrading my sword to +2, I head out. Along the way, I stumble into Mark. He's a ranger of the keepers, and after a brief conversation, offers to teach me some archery, and then acts as a vendor for both arrow recipes and a variety of arrows. Mark is also very familiar with the surrounding area and sheds some light on the state of the Sunken Village.
The Horns of the South used to be much more independent from Camelot. We had our own marketplace, artisans, and the best cuisine in the region. The rich and the mighty of Camelot came here in droves and left mountains of gold behind. Those with some decorum would pay their respects at the tomb of our keep's founder, Siwar Firstfoot, and then came the flood. Or rather, a wave, angry and monstrous. It swept away the entire village along with all the inhabitants. Some people say the druids were responsible. I'd be more inclined to think that the village was built in a place that sooner or later would end up underwater.
Armed with the local lore, I descend the sloping path to explore the Sunken Village. The area is inhabited by zombies, corpse eaters, and suicide undead bombers. The area also has a wealth of consumables and a few trinkets. Looting the place takes some time, and the enemies are not very hard to defeat, but the layout of the Sunken Village looks great. The place looks as if it was abandoned in a hurry, and many of the buildings are decaying and adorned with rotted wood and loose netting. Standing on a nearby pier is Hob. He is waiting for God knows what, I guess. Why are you waiting here?
Long ago, I decided to wait for something to happen. So, I'm waiting.
And he seems unaffected by the monsters that infest the village and offers some clues as to where my search for a druid should continue.
I have a friend who made a home for himself in a pretty nice place. Quite a spacious cave underneath the keep. Beautiful view, peaceful and quiet. Every now and then, I brought Dressed some fish so the poor guy wouldn't starve to death. If you would be so kind as to do it for me this time. I haven't been able to visit him for a while now. He has druidic knowledge. He also talks and looks like a druid. I'd say he is one, even though he tries to be someone else.
Before leaving the village, there is a large tomb-like entrance into the very side of the cliffs, flanked by massive warrior-like statues, so I head in to have a look around. The area turns into natural caving that appears to have retaken over the once hewn stone. The passage branches to the right where corpse eaters gorge themselves on their last victim. I decide to ignore them and see what lies beyond the barred passage ahead. Three creatures kneel in reverence and worship to what appears to be a statue of a wizard. It is an awesome set piece. The chanting, the low hum of music mesh very well in this scene of reverence to an unknown figure. I decide to leave them and head back over to deal with the corpse eaters and see what lies beyond. With the creatures dead, I loot the room, and hanging suspended in front of another statue is the Merlin's Thorn spell. It creates a projectile that hovers near the caster, then launches itself at an enemy if it wanders too close. The statue is another great-looking piece of a skeletal being holding a sword facing downward. A single wing adorns its left shoulder, while jutting barbs decorate the other, giving it a fallen one-winged angel appearance. Very cool. To the right of the statue are two locked trunks. Inside is some coin and moonshine. Behind the statue is an overgrown passage that leads to a larger trunk. Inside I find some coins, a mana elixir, and the arcane barrier spell, a protective shield spell that explodes when struck by an enemy. Badass. All that's left is the room with the chanting creatures. I drop into the chamber and pull the lever, giving me an escape route if necessary. But the undead creatures take no interest in me. They simply continue their mantra as if I wasn't present at all. Behind the statue is what appears to be a slot for an item called the One-Eye Sigil. I don't have this item, so I have little choice but to leave the dead to their reverence. More corpse eaters await me outside, and I gain a level in magic for putting them down. Now, having cleared out the area before ever entering the tomb, this means that enemies do respawn, offering the player the option to farm for experience or materials depending on the enemy or player's desire. I was curious about this because if they didn't, that means that there's only a set amount of combat experience available in any given area, so I'm glad that this is an option to bulk up your hero. With the village cleared again, I decide to swim to a nearby island that houses a large door frame that I can only assume is an ancient portal or gateway of some sort. A moss-covered semi-spiral stair leads upwards towards the gate. At its top lies a broken gong, a pouch of coins, and the Mother's Touch spell, which heals the wielder 45 hit points over 10 seconds. Fantastic. The gateway offers no other clues nor items, and with the village cleared, I decide that I should continue my search for the druid Dressed. Now, Hob mentioned that he lived in a cave under the keep. I'm guessing he means the Horn's Fortress, so I guess it's time for a swim. On the opposite side of the keep from the sunken village and past the new village and nearing the sandy beach where my adventure began on Avalon is Dressed home. Dressed is an older-looking man who is warming himself by a small fire as I approach. Near him is an alchemy book on the natural remedies of the druids, and speaks in particular of the healing properties of sage. Dressed doesn't seem to mind me taking the book, so I guess it's time for an introduction.
Finally. Do you want me to starve to death just because I can command the primordial forces of nature? Doesn't mean I don't need to eat. Oh, you're not Hob.
Dressed wants a sandwich, and I need a ritual site purged. I guess win-win. I give him a snack, and he offers to meet me at the now corrupted ritual site. I'm trying really hard to ignore the fact that a druid, the masters of all things nature-y and animalness, just sucks at fishing, but, whatever, I'll play along.
Yes, food. That stuff you put in your mouth to make sure your body doesn't wither and die, Fish, meat, vegetables, bread. Oh, some bread would be especially nice. But I'll take anything, really. Meet me at the Cromlech. I will need your assistance with the ritual.
Upon arriving at the site, Drest is waiting and starts to cleanse the ritual site automatically.
Earth beneath me, sustaining all life. Air around me, inspiring all life. Fire above me, infusing all life. Water within me, soothing all life. Bring deep peace to this sacred site. Deep peace of the quiet earth to this sacred site. Deep peace of the flowing air to this sacred site. Deep peace of the shining stars to this sacred site. Deep peace of the rolling waves to this sacred site.
You have no right to be here. Do you really think you can cleanse the great Cromlech with your filthy soul? Pathetic.
Who do you think you are? My soul will do just fine, arrogant wretch.
You'd know a thing or two about arrogance, wouldn't you, Drest? I see you haven't changed one bit.
Knowing my name doesn't give you any right to claim familiarity with me.
Oh, I know more than just your name. After all, you once called me your little sprout. I was only a child when you left, but I remember you well. I remember the pain and sadness you caused. I even tried writing to you, begging you to come back, hoping it would make everything better. How stupid I was.
Iona? Is it really you? By the gods. What have you done to yourself?
Pause. Okay, now the player is given a choice here, and boy do I love it when a game lets me decide the fate of its NPCs. On one hand, we have Drest, friend of Hob and a hermit whose life is now spent ducking the Red Priest and hiding his true nature from the world. I gave him a snack, and he said he would cleanse the site. Drest is also Iona's stepfather, and after getting romantically involved with her mother, who just so happened to be a druidic savant, decided, to hell with this, I need more in my life, and left. I know I'm paraphrasing here. Drest, in his shame, never sought and actively avoided both Iona and her mother, until the day came when the Red Priest discovered Iona's mother, whom at the time was so heartbroken didn't raise a finger to save herself from Red Priest justice. Iona attempted the same rite as her mother and failed, turning her into a dryad as punishment for attempting the trial with a heart filled with vengeance. On the other hand, we have Iona, whom once loved Drest as a father and blames him for the death of her mother. Seeking vengeance, she attempted the druidic trial and failed, becoming a dryad herself, and now claims that the site can be cleansed with a life for a life. That means Drest. That means she wants Drest to die. This leaves the player with the choice of who lives. I love these types of quests because it offers a peek into the player's moral compass of justice, or at the very least allows them to roleplay with the hero they've constructed. It's a good storytelling tactic and allows the player to have agency in the world they are immersed in. Well done. Now, with all of that out of the way, I decided to kill Drest. I know that he may very well be the last druid. I'm aware that I requested his presence in cleansing the site of evil. I am aware of the fact that all of this mess is solely based on the fact that Herbert asked me to come here to further his academic study about the secrets of the Druids, and I was met by a druidic practical joke. I am aware that I am only here to cover Herbert's ass so that the Red Priests don't come nosing about asking questions. But the truth is, I don't care about any of that. The way I see it is that this is a grim tale regardless of outcome. Iona wants revenge, Drest wants to live. Both can't be satisfied regardless of choice. If I kill Iona, Drest will feel responsible and go back into hiding and deal with his grief. If I kill Drest, I may be the cause of death of the last druid. And there is an old saying that if you are seeking vengeance, dig 2 graves. So why did I kill Drest over Iona if both outcomes end in grief? Because Drest can explain to his ghostly pals how their stupid fucking joke got him killed. How funny is that, you dumb fucking ghost? With Drest dead, I check his pockets for loose change and take his druid talisman, a ring that reduces the cost of mana by 3%, and have a quick chat with Iona on how she feels about what has just transpired.
I feel odd, like I've lost something. When I was in the Cromlech, everything around me was so vivid, but now it's gone. Muted. I'm not sure what I feel anymore.
Iona says that she will purge the site of evil and floats off. Although the site is still crawling with living vines, I guess it's no longer my concern, and I decide to head back to Herbert to see what he thinks about all that's transpired.
It's it's so obvious that it's no wonder the answer eluded us all. It's not about the mystical arts, the scrolls, or the rituals. That's all smoke and mirrors. It's about observing nature and drawing the right conclusions. Mistletoe feeds off the tree, but it doesn't just take. It gives back, just like we all do. We always take from something. The trick is to give back more than we take. That's meant to be our role in the world.
Well, Herbert has a bunch of nonsense to say concerning the mistletoe and its effect on the trees, but as far as the ritual site is concerned, no quest update, no further leads. So maybe it didn't work. Guess I'll have to find this tomb of the good druid. Time to explore. Currently in early access, Fall of Avalon has one region of the map unlocked to explore. The map is grayscale and symbols appear in white while the player is portrayed with a golden triangle typical of many RPGs. The player has the ability to place custom markers, zoom both in and out, and many of the points of interest and main objectives appear as white or gold markers. Overall, the map is clean and functions well. Exploration in the Fall of Avalon feels rewarding, and although not every rock hides a secret, there is good visual storytelling and snippets of lore and side adventures to discover as you comb the land. The world is dotted with enemies that feel a part of the world rather than just waiting around or standing out of place waiting to be slain. Wolves and Grendelos scavenge for food. Corpse eaters are usually found, well, near corpses, as if drawn to the stench of death. Redcaps lie in wait to ambush unsuspecting travelers, while ogres patrol the borders of their domains to protect their treasures. Bandits set up camps and loot once prosperous settlements, seeking food and the opportunity to take advantage of the unwise traveler. The land of Avalon is riddled with sickness and decay, and the game does an amazing job of reminding the player that this is a dying world. The glory days of King Arthur and his knights are long since diminished, and humanity is on the brink of collapse, with very little struggle against the stagnation of decay that has settled over the inhabitants of Avalon. For me, this is a compelling world for the player protagonist, and I find myself easily immersed in the narrative Tainted Grail is selling. My exploration pits my stealthy arcanist against a small camp of deranged knights who I exploit using terrain and magic, and introduces me to another NPC named Morris, a branded man whose character model just looks bad. I mean, so far I've really enjoyed the aesthetic of Avalon, but this guy looks like he just fought his way out of Minecraft. Maybe it was just a bug, maybe his model didn't fully render, if not, he looks fucking terrible. Morris talks about a bandit leader who branded him, but I don't receive a quest, so I move on. Not far off is a windmill that is guarded by bandits, and I manage to handle the situation the same way I've handled every situation so far: stealth, magic, kiting, and terrain advantage. Near the windmill is a small cottage where I battle Senin the Giant. He is a shirtless bandit wielding a greatsword, and as you can imagine, his greatsword deals significant damage, but speed and magic prevail over brute strength and janky AI.
Is that all you've got?
With the bandits dead, I find some branded skin, coins, lockpicks, and the giant's sword, which allows strong attacks to deal double damage, and a letter from a young boy. The letter is written by Senin at the age of 7. In this self-written promise, Senin speaks of his family being wronged, and that he will one day grow big and make them pay. Now I know this isn't much, but it does attempt to add a flavor of humanity to a villain I just killed. At this point, I'm not sure whom this letter is concerning, but it paints an enemy in a realistic light. You see, I believe that the best villains never see themselves as the bad guy. They believe that what they are doing is the right path or justified due to their background. And although this is no more than a small note written as a self-promise to enact revenge upon whomever wronged Senin and his family, I love that this letter exists. And even if there isn't a quest revolving around this character, I already view Senin as more human than the 12 bandits and droves of other enemies I've encountered. For me, this type of encounter adds depth to my own storyline. I'm out exploring the world in search of a druid and come across a large bandit who sees the world as a threat to be battled head-on. I win the encounter and kill him, only to learn that he is seeking revenge for wrongs committed to his family. His quest has been ongoing for years, this tattered note tucked in his pocket as a reminder of his vengeance. And to be completely honest, I hope I find the person responsible for his torment. I'd like to hear their side of the story and pair that beside the grief of a tormented boy who was driven to banditry and vengeance from the early age of 7. With the bandits dead and the windmill looted, my journey brings me to another ruined structure that is patrolled by more deranged knights, and during the fight the weirdness appears, and it's moving. A massive cloud of inky fog slowly drifts across the land. I manage to arcane spam the knight to death before the fog envelops us, and wonder what lies within the weirdness. The Four Dweller said that I would be protected within the primordial fog. Guess I shall find out.
Finally, welcome to the Wyrdness. I can protect you for now. It's good to finally be able to speak with you again. This world seems so familiar. Thank you for the opportunity to observe it through your eyes. I know my soul must be somewhere near. The Horns of the South is the place you need to be. That is what I know for sure. I am afraid I can't be more specific. It is just a feeling. It is an object. That I am certain of. The wheel of fate is turning, and you are on its path. Walk it, and we will find the next piece of my soul. Go without fear. You are safe. Go, my ally.
The spiritual entity seems to only be able to communicate with me from within the fog, and again wants me to locate a piece of its soul, and says that it is an object, but that object's location is unknown to him, only that it resides within the Horns of the South, and I really hope that that object reference is to Excalibur, that sits in the center of the fortress, but I suppose only time will tell. A hop, skip, and skadoosh later, I discover a lake of blood, with a partially submerged doorway nestled within a rocky outcropping. Nearing the center of the lake is a rock with a corpse laying upon it. The corpse of a woman lays almost as if sacrificed, and sticking out of her chest is the one-handed sword Blood Oath, a crimson blade that deals 50% more damage if the enemy is below 50% of their maximum health. The weirdness begins to envelop the lake, so I avoid going inside the doorway and decide I'll check back later. Unable to find the Tomb of the Good Druid, my journey eventually leads me to an abandoned stronghold where Fergus wanted me to investigate the disappearance of his men, and it's here that I discover the power of Arcane Shield. This spell reflects damage back upon the attacker, and it is way too fucking powerful, and very quickly becomes my new method of dealing with enemies. Now armed with the arcane one-hitter quitter, I clear the camp and have a look around. I discover that Fergus's missing soldiers have died, either due to the weirdness or enemy forces that I've just cleared. I am curious who this faction of deranged knights serve. Are they simply all deserters from the garrison, or is there another faction rising in the Horns of the South? My quest tracker updates and tells me to report to the quartermaster. Along the way, I find a small shrine to the All-Mother. A priestess lies dead, and I check her pockets for loose change, because that's what you do to dead people. I take her cloak and headdress, because she's dead and she doesn't need them. And I inspect the area. Near the priestess's body is a broken and weathered stone tablet. It speaks in reverence to the All-Mother and gaining her protection. I believe that this is a clue as to the items required to any given offering at the nearby statue. It just so happens that I already have the required burdock root, bone meal, and monster blood. Making the offering gives me an All-Mother's Mercy amulet and the Nature's Salvation spell. The amulet breaks upon death and instead restores 20% of the wearer's maximum health. Nature's Salvation is an instant heal that restores 60 hit points, and both are added to my ever-growing loot pile. What the fuck is this? Early access statues? Come on, guys, you're better than this. Don't be like the other company. Make it just work for real. Send this shit back to Vault 76. Before heading back to Fergus, I decide to explore the beach, and along the way encounter more bandits of varying AI programming, another cookbook, and more lootable foodstuffs. Once on the beach, I encounter Silent Scylla, a bandit leader that I'm assuming is meant to be a difficult fight, but armed with arcane bullshit turns the fight into a joke as Scylla kills himself after attacking me twice. Okay, last time I'm going to say it, fix the damn magic. And yes, I'm aware that I could just not use it, but why would I? I'm sure that all the spells were rigorously tested for gameplay balance and enjoyability. Right, developers? Right? Because otherwise it would have been called Todd's Not So Fantastic Spell. right? Scylla has the dagger Wolf's Fang and a full set of assassin's armor so that I can look super edgy while people kill themselves on my arcane bullshit spell. I'm kidding, the armor is a full set of light armor, and each piece offers a % bonus to both foot noise and visibility. Why wouldn't you just say stealth? Its armor value sucks, but I care about looking cool, so I wear it anyway. Wolf's Fang is a one-handed blade that deals 50% more sneak attack damage and makes a fine addition to my inventory. Celia's camp is full of consumables, and just beyond the camp sits a house, so I decide to see what's inside. The manor has corpses strewn about the main living space, and apart from that grim fact, has a nice interior design. At the back of the room is a door that requires a key to open. Located on the dining room table is a book titled The Memoirs of Anwyn Argyll. The book tells the tale of young Anwyn and her twisted childhood, in the very halls of Blackthorn Manor. I'm going to assume that that's the name of this place. And how both her father and uncle were bad men and even responsible for the death of her aunt. She believes that whatever happened to her aunt could be reversed, if only her father hadn't taken the secret to his grave. Creepy. After a quick search, I find the basement key located on a nearby end table and take it, and the basement is plastered with weird shit. I mean, there is literally a dryad plastered to the wall. Just taking a shot in the dark, but I'm gonna guess that this is Auntie.
Who are you? Did my brother send you? That's right. You wouldn't. Because they're dead. I remember now. I'm just confused. I feel like I've been trapped here forever. But I've no way to tell. No sunrises, no sunsets, no passing seasons. They might as well have locked me in a tomb. No sunrises, no sunsets, no passing seasons. They might as well have locked me in a tomb. My name is Ailey. I had 2 brothers. I loved them very much. Sadly, they never loved me. Only what I gave them, whether willingly or not. And yet he kept me imprisoned here. He knew that the moment he set me free, I would die and all of his wealth would disappear. What good is guilt if the only thing you do is wallow in it? Then he should have thought about it before he killed me. Every home needs a heart. This one even more so than others. When a heart dies, the home dies with it. Except that couldn't be allowed. Not truly. Tell me, do any of my brother's descendants still live here? To better answer your question, I was imprisoned. And then I was forgotten. Oh, how I wish I could finally be free of this place. I know it means I will die, but I deserve it, don't I? I deserve to be at peace. I just need you to remove my heart. Nothing more. I will die. Hopefully this cursed house will die with me.
Well, this is a grim tale indeed. 2 brothers who enjoyed having their way with their sister for who knows how many years until one day one of them accidentally kills her, and in her grief, hatred, or some dark curse becomes bound to the basement of the home. She seeks relief from the pain of eternity and asks that I remove her heart. Right. Removing her heart causes her to vanish, and the edge of my vision blurs as if maybe this was a mistake.
I know, my heart couldn't be moved. But thank you for trying. You have proven that there is at least a piece of your heart that is pure. Unlike mine, broken and tainted by my brother's betrayal. But I will put it back, piece by piece, until it is as free and pure as it used to be. Don't worry. Your sacrifice will not be in vain.
Yep, it was a trap. Okay, lady, you want to taste of some arcane bullshit? Come and get it. The fight is brief, I kill Auntie, but the manor has changed to some nightmare version of its former glory. And I have to be honest, this is a very Witcher-feeling quest. Sitting in the back of the room is a childlike statue, and before it sits a book. The book is the Dryad's diary, and details her fading faith in the All-Mother, her torture at the hands of her brothers, and her hatred that is spreading throughout her like rot, when all she ever wanted was a home and the love of her family. Interacting with the statue transports me back outside, and the manor is gone. In its place is a small cottage, with no furnishings and is unremarkable, and although I'm not sure if I understand holistically what has transpired in this house of ill repute, I have to admit that I enjoy this weird little horror story. Hey friends, I wanted to apologize for the time in between videos. I caught a respiratory cold, ended up coughing my voice into oblivion. It's still healing, as you can probably tell. I'm not sure when I'll be fully recovered, but a final review to Fall of Avalon is coming up next. So I'll see you guys then. Take care, everybody. Goodbye.